When we think of the Garden of Eden, we think of this perfect mythical place, the most famous garden that ever was, right? It was a place where everything had a purpose, to feed, to heal, to protect, and we tend to think that garden just vanished. But what if I told you it didn't?
Seriously, what if that incredible, purposeful garden is actually still with us? Right here, right now. It's a wild thought, I know, but it kind of flips the whole story on its head, doesn't it? Because here's the big idea. Maybe the garden wasn't destroyed at all. Maybe it was just scattered. Like its essence survives through real, living plants that are still growing, still producing, and still healing people today. I bet some of them are in your kitchen right now, and you don't even realize their history.
So, where do we even begin looking for the pieces of this incredible puzzle? Well, let's start with the absolute basics. Sustenance. These are the plants that literally formed the bedrock of civilization. We're not just talking about food, we're talking about the foundation of society itself.
First up, the olive tree. That single branch it brought back was the very first sign of new life after the Great Flood. It's become this universal symbol of peace and hope, and it makes sense. It's one of the oldest trees we humans have ever cultivated, a true survivor.
And this is what blows my mind. The ancient symbolism of it being life-giving is completely backed up by modern science. That symbolism translates directly into health benefits. The oil has this compound in it that's so similar to ibuprofen and how it fights inflammation, it's just uncanny.
And talk about resilience. Just think about this for a second. There are olive trees standing on the Mount of Olives today that are over 2,000 years old. They were alive when all those biblical stories were happening, and they are still producing olives. That's a direct, living link to the ancient world.
Okay, next up, wheat. This one little grain literally changed the course of human history. It's all about hard work, provision, and this beautiful cycle of sacrifice and renewal. This is the plant that let us stop wandering and start building cities.
And just look at its journey. 10,000 years ago, it all started in the Fertile Crescent, which, by the way, is the same region where Eden was said to be. Coincidence? Then it became the staff of life in the ancient world. And today, it's the foundation of pretty much the entire global food supply. Its importance has never, ever faded. So what's the secret sauce? How did it become so dominant? Well, it comes down to this one incredible number, 70. A single grain of wheat can multiply itself 70 times over in one harvest. That amazing power of multiplication was the engine that drove all of agriculture. It's why we could have a population boom and build civilization as we know it.
But the garden wasn't just a pantry for the kitchen, it was also a medicine cabinet. So let's look at the healing plants, humanity's first pharmacy, used for thousands of years to treat sickness and purify the body.
I love this quote because it's so human. The Israelites are wandering in the desert, they're complaining, and of all the things they miss from home, they miss garlic. That tells you how much they loved it. But it wasn't just a tasty ingredient, it was powerful medicine. They gave it to pyramid builders for strength, and even Hippocrates, the father of medicine, prescribed it.
And here's why it worked. Turns out, ancient wisdom was spot on. Their belief that it prevented disease? Well, we now know it's because of allicin, a compound with proven antibiotic and antiviral properties, and that it gave them strength, totally backed up by data showing it can slash bad cholesterol by up to 15% and lower blood pressure.
All right, now for myrrh. This quote alone tells you how incredibly valuable this stuff was. It was a gift fit for a king, right alongside gold. And get this, for long stretches of ancient history, myrrh was actually worth more than gold. It was a perfume, a sacred incense, and a powerful medicine all in one.
And again, modern science comes in and shows us why it was so prized. The Egyptians used it for mummification, which makes perfect sense once you learn it has powerful antimicrobial properties. And its role as a sacred healer is now understood too. We found compounds in it that actually block the enzymes that cause inflammation, making it a natural treatment for things like arthritis pain.
So we've fed the body and we've healed the body. But some plants in the garden did something else entirely. They nourished the soul. They became a kind of living language, these powerful symbols, used to teach deep lessons about faith, resilience, and the divine.
The fig tree. Now this one is a big deal. It's the very first plant mentioned by name in the entire Bible. Think about that. Its leaves were the first clothing, its fruit one of the first foods. It is a truly foundational plant in the human story, a symbol of knowledge, life, and just incredible endurance. And you see this amazing parallel, right? Ancient cultures like the Greeks saw it as the tree of knowledge because it was so fertile and could live for over 200 years. And today, we know it's a nutritional powerhouse, just packed with antioxidants and fiber. A single tree can produce almost 50 pounds of fruit a year.
Okay, quick timeout. Before we get to our next plant, you got to understand what a parable is. It's really simple. It's just a little story that uses an everyday thing to explain a huge, complex spiritual truth. It makes a big idea easy to grasp. And that brings us to maybe the most famous parable of them all, the mustard seed. The reason this one is so powerful is the massive, almost unbelievable contrast between its tiny, tiny beginning and its huge outcome. It's the ultimate metaphor for the power of faith.
And this number really brings the story to life. 3 meters, that's nearly 10 feet tall. From one of the smallest seeds you can even hold in your hand. In just a few months, it becomes this huge plant, almost a tree. It's the perfect visual for what a tiny bit of faith can grow into.
So, after all this, the story kind of circles back to us, doesn't it? This isn't just about ancient history. This legacy is alive and kicking, and honestly, we can all be a part of it. So, let's just recap. We've seen how these plants gave us sustenance, literally building the world we live in. We've seen how they healed us, acting as our very first medicines. And we've seen how they became powerful symbols, a living language to nourish our souls.
And that really brings me to a question for you. Take a look around your own home, your garden, maybe just your spice rack. Which of these ancient plants are already a part of your life? Which piece of this scattered Eden are you going to choose to cultivate?
Because in the end, that's the real secret. The Garden of Eden wasn't some place that we lost. It was a blueprint for a life filled with purpose, healing, and abundance that was given to us, a blueprint that we can still follow and still grow today.